Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This week I went to my locals as I do every single Monday, but today there was something a little bit different. One of my friends, he's been talking about starting his own YouTube channel, but he hasn't quite started it yet, but he did buy a tripod. So in this week's locals, he brought it with him, but he didn't want to record his game, so he lent it to me, and I decided, hey, this seems like fun. Let's go ahead and record my games, and then I can post what went on during locals on this channel. So that's what I did, and what I did this week was I chose 3 decks. I never know what to choose. I never know what to play on Mondays. It's just fun local, so I just like playing a bunch of different decks every Monday. But this week I had 3 decks. I have 3 decks right now that I really enjoy playing, and it is Raging Bolts. I have Klawf Terrapagos. That's my main deck. That's what I used to get 158th place at San Antonio. And my newest deck, which is the Flareon EX with Armarouge, which I've always loved the Armarouge archetype, but with Arceus rotating, I've decided to start playing it with Flareon, see how it works, and I've been enjoying it quite a bit. So those were the 3 decks that I chose. Every time I went up to a new opponent, I gave them 3 options. I put my decks in front of them, and I had them choose just to make it a little bit more fair, because it would be unfair for me to choose knowing what they're playing, because at locals you can see what everybody is playing. It's cheating! It's cheating! And sometimes they chose poorly, other times they chose pretty damn good. But regardless, we always had fun. So let's go over to my locals now, and let's show off some of this gameplay.
All right, you choose.
Oh my goodness, tell me to pick my poison?
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I've been doing with everybody, so.
Pick the one you're good against.
I don't know what they are. I'll go middle.
Pick number 3.
All right, so my first opponent chose to play against Klawf Terrapagos. This is basically the list that won EUIC. The only difference was that I kept in my Kyurem, and I switched out a switch card. So I only have 3 switch cards rather than 4, but otherwise it's pretty identical. Oh, and I have a Roxanne rather than 2 Ionos. I just like the Roxanne when it gets down to the lower price cards so that I can draw some more cards. But yep, here is the list that I played for this first game. I started the game out, I won the coin flip, and I decided to go first here. As I mentioned, this is local, so we all know what we're playing, and I was playing against Archaladon, so I know you definitely want to go first against Archaladon. So I decided to go ahead and grab the Terrapagos with the Nest Ball. I was about to play Luminion for Carbine, so I definitely want to set up my energy, because I only have 4 to work with, or at least 4 double turbos. Play the Carmine, and I drew into the nuts right here. I actually did end up grabbing the trolley, so went ahead and set up the whole poison team right here. One thing though is, even though I checked my prize cards, I only looked for Pokemon, and I did notice that there was 2 ancient boosters, but it just didn't dawn on me that I had one in hand. And when I Carmined, got into the Oranguru, I found out that, yes, that's right, I have 2 ancient boosters prized. So the plan was to switch card here into the Petrant with the Forest Seal Stone, but because I didn't have the ancient booster, I just decided to pass because I knew he wasn't going to get an attack on his first turn. That's why you always want to go first against Archaladon. They just cannot attack their first turn. So that's exactly what happened. He was starting to discard a lot of energy. I know Archaladon likes to discard energy to get back later, but I don't know. To me, it felt like he was discarding a little bit too much energy. But honestly, I haven't really played this deck too much, so maybe he was playing it correctly. But he went into a Pokegear 3.0, found a Professor's Research, which was great for him because I don't think he had anything else. He did bump my Stadium, so I had to discard some Pokemon. I decided to go ahead and discard Luminion and the Petrant, since we're not going to be getting any damage with Petrant anytime soon. Plays the Professor's Research, grabs, what is that, Dialga, and gets rid of some more energy cards. And right here, that was interesting. He did Ultra Ball for the our Duraludon, or Archaladon, but I was going to go ahead and knock this Duraludon out, so I think that was a misplay there. I think I would have rather grabbed another Duraludon, but that's what he ended up grabbing. So that was my plan, was to just knock out these Duraludons so that to prevent him from accessing his energy that's in the discard. So that's kind of how this game played out. He kept playing out 1 or 2 Duraludons, and I just kept bossing and KOing the Duraludons rather than focusing on the 2 prizers here, because yeah, you just definitely don't want them to get access to their energies that's in the discard. So That's kind of what happened in this game. And this turn, he actually he was able to get out one Archelodon, but he was only accelerating 2 energies onto the Dialga. So the Dialga's only doing 120 damage. It does 40 for every energy, or 40 plus every energy. So he has 2. He went ahead and knocked out my, what is that, Brute Bonnet. It does only have 120 when it doesn't have the Ancient Booster, which, by the way, I could not draw the Ancient Boosters for my prizes to save my life. Every knockout that I took, never grabbed one. I think here on my 3rd knockout, I was able to get one, but it just felt like I couldn't grab them. But it seemed to work out in this case because, as I said, I did have access to boss. I even had the Forest Seal Stone that I hadn't used that I could use to grab the final boss, because at this point in the game, I had already used 2. I know I play 3, and I do remember my prize cards. The 3rd one was not prized, so for this last turn, he did Iono me, which was fine with me because, as I said, I had Forest Seal Stone active. I actually drew into 3 energy, 2 double turbos, and 1 dark, which is kind of crazy because this deck, sometimes it's a little bit hard to find your energy, but I just casually drew into all 3 there, which I didn't really need. I already had 2 double turbos on each of my Terrapagos. That last turn, he wasn't able to set up a Duraludon, so I just went ahead and attacked into the active here to just kind of bring down the HP. I also attached to Oranguru because he has an attack that does 50 or 30 plus 50 for every energy attached. So if he ever did get a lot of energy attached to the Dialga, then I think that would be a good candidate to knock it out. Even though I think I could have knocked it out with any Terrapagos, but I had the energy in hand, so why not? I attached to Oranguru, and then this turn he was able to set down a Duraludon. He actually prioritized setting up another Archelodon rather than removing the damage from this Dialga. So again, I could have knocked into this. I could have attacked into this Dialga to knock it out, but I decided to just go ahead and use my Forest Seal Stone this turn, and I bossed the Duraludon once again. He thought that I was out of boss cards, but nope. Oh, by the way, I did have to bump the stadium there because he had played that stadium that doesn't allow you to use tool cards, so I didn't have access to my Forest Seal Stone, which is why I had played the Chorus the previous turn, just to prepare for that. So yep, that's what happened here. I knocked out the Duraludon, had 2 prizes left, and at this point, I don't think he can retreat with his Dialga, so I knew I had game next turn. All I had to do was attack with my Terrapagos that was had no damage on it, by the way, so he couldn't knock it out with the Dialga. And I also had access to Poison finally, which right here he bossed my Brute Bonnet, but he forgot that with the Ancient Booster, he gets an additional 60 HP, so it didn't knock out, so that was unfortunate, but that allowed me to just retreat and KO the Dialga as planned. So, yep, I even played the Kieran just to do extra damage, but I had the knockout either way. I was just being annoying here by doing the maximum damage possible. But yep, that was the end of game 1. It was a lot of fun. I hate Duraludon. That's actually a horrible matchup for me, but going into game 2, again, had my opponent chose. He didn't want to choose, so he had me roll a dice, and it actually rolled on the Armarouge Flareon deck, which was cool with me. I wanted to try and play every deck if possible. And here is the deck profile for my Flareon Armarouge deck. The main attackers here are that Wellspring, the Iron Hands, and of course also the Regigigas for Charizard and Dragapult. But a lot of fire energy here. I put in 2 lightning energy as well to be able to attack with Flareon, do 280 damage. But I've been really enjoying this list, so let's go ahead and see it in action now. Played down some Pokemon here, grabbed the one of Buddy Puffin as well as an Ultra Ball. I was actually trying to get Squawkabilly, but it was prized, and right here is where I wish I would have played my Klawf Terrapagos deck, because I have the Kyurem, as I've shown you guys in my deck list, but I couldn't use it because I don't have it on this deck. But it would have been such an easy matchup had I played my Klawf Terrapagos deck, but unfortunately my opponent didn't choose that deck. So this is where my opponent actually chose correctly here, by rolling the dice, helped him out. And honestly, this Lost Box deck was a very difficult game. You guys will see here, but I tried my best, and let's kind of go through the game here. For his first turn, he was able to get 4 in the Lost Zone, crowned my active Wellspring Ogerpon. Going into my turn, I evolved into the Flareon. In this turn, now that I'm able to attack, I definitely want to get on an attack with Flareon EX, just so that I can start accelerating some energies. I will see later, but I did have an option to attack with the Wellspring Ogerpon, but had I done that, I would have lost all my energies because it does shuffle them back into the deck. Also, he had the Cram in the active, which has 110 HP, and the Wellspring only does 100 to the active, so I would only be able to get one prize card had I attacked with the Wellspring Ogerton, so I thought it was best to just attack with Flareon, and that's exactly what I did here. I was able to evolve into Armarouge, benched another Eevee, and I believe I had the Glass Trumpet to accelerate an energy to the Eevee, so that's 3 total fire energies. I fired off 1 into the Wellspring Ogerpon. I thought it best to try to reserve the luminous energy as much as possible, so I accelerated a fire to retreat with the fire energy rather than just retreat with the luminous, and I accelerated 2 energies with the attack onto the Iron Hands so that I could start getting 2 prizes on a 1 prizer for the next few turns. So on his turn, he did Lost Box Dings, started to get a bunch of cards into the Lost Box, into the Lost Zone. I, for one, am glad that this deck is finally rotating here in April, I believe. I've always hated this deck. It's been an issue ever since I started playing the Pokemon card game, and it just never rotated. And as you can see here, he was, in fact, able to get 10 cards into the Lost Zone. I believe the last thing he has to do here is just play a Lost Vacuum, which he already has a bunch of cards in his hand. So because he promoted that Sableye, I knew he was going to get there. And he went ahead and KO'd the Wellspring and put some damage onto the Eevee. I believe he put 2 onto the Eevee. So on my turn, I made sure to evolve that Eevee because I don't want him to get an easy prize card. But before that, I did bench the Monkey Dory with the Luminous Energy, or sorry, the A-Spec Energy, I forget what it's called. But here's where I went ahead and Night Stretchered for the Flareon EX. And I was able to Magma Blast into the Armarouge, start accelerating some more energies. And here I retreat into the Iron Hands. So again, this was kind of risky, but I needed to start getting more prize cards. I accelerated all my energy to the Iron Hands, and I knew he was going to Pikachu this next turn. But had he KO'd the Iron Hands, he would have only taken 1 prize, thanks to the Legacy Energy. But again, he had a really big hand, so he could realistically do whatever he wanted, and he decided, yep, I'm not going to go through that Legacy Energy. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and boss another 2 prizer, and in this case, that Pikachu does a lot of damage. It does 300 damage for a Lightning, Grass, and Steel Energy, which he can easily get access to with the Mirage Gate, and he bossed my Flareon. The next turn, I have to Iono here because he has such a huge hand. Even then, he still has access to 2 Comfy, so the best play here would have been to somehow get Wellspring Ogerpon, knock out the 2 Comfies, and play an Iono or some sort of disruption. But I couldn't get there with the hand that I had, so I went ahead and just played a Nest Ball to try and thin out my deck. I cut this out, but that Nest Ball took me a while because I knew I wanted the Wellspring, but I decided to just go ahead and say, screw it, we just got to bench something to thin out the deck and try to draw into the Iono. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, so all I could do here was just attack with the Iron Hands once again, which I did have Boss in hand to try and boss something out. I decided to go for the Greninja just because if he has an energy, he can just draw 2 cards, whereas with Comfies, he kind of has to choose between 2 cards. Some of them go into the Lost Zone, so I was hoping that would help a little bit, but nope, he just had everything in his hand. He went through the motions right here, attached an escape rope or an escape board, Super Rotted, Mirage Gate, and Boss, which meant I lost that game, but I have one more game, and for this game, my opponent chose to play against Raging Bolt. I was again playing against another Archaladon deck, so Raging Bolt has a really good matchup into Archaladon because it's able to reach those high HP numbers of 300. So in this case, my opponent chose poorly, but I was able to play all 3 of my decks, which was really cool. It was kind of cool that all my 3 opponents chose different decks. I did play 4 games, but the first game, I actually didn't record. My friend didn't give me the tripod until the second game, but let's go ahead and go into this game with Archaladon. Here it was a little bit more, I wouldn't say difficult, but he was able to set up more Archelodons and Duraludons here. So I don't think he played the Dialga version. This was a straight up Archelodon deck. But second turn, I was able to set up some energy. He went first, but he didn't get much energies into the discard, so I felt safe. And I just decided to go ahead and pass with 2 energies on the board already. On his second turn, he Ultra Balls for a Greninja, then Research, so perfect hand right there. I knew he was going to get some stuff here, but really, looking at the hand, he didn't get much energies there, so I don't think he's able to attack this turn. But this did surprise me here. He set up the Toad Scroll. I definitely want to take that out because that prevents me from getting access to my discard, which with Raging Bolt, you definitely want access to your discard with your energy retrievals, Pokestop. You play a lot of cards that just want to grab things from the discard. So because regardless, I am going to be taking a 1-prizer for my next turn, I did go ahead and decide to try and target that Toad Scroll. So let's go ahead and go through my sequence here. First up, played Earthen Vessel, got rid of a Pokegear because I had all my supporters in hand already. Got a Fighting and a Grass. That's really all I needed to take a knockout here. And I also drew into the Prime Catcher, so that was perfect. That meant I could play Sada, and just go ahead and target anything that I want. So from here, I was just trying to get as many energies on the board as possible. So I got more energies onto these Raging Bolts because those are going to be my primary attackers here. And then I set up another Teal Mask Ogerpon to set up some more energy. Here, I think that might have been a mistake. Actually, I made a few mistakes here, which I'll talk about. But first up here, the first mistake was getting rid of an energy from a Raging Bolt because I know Duraludon can't take a knockout on a Raging Bolt. So I should have probably discarded energy from the Teal Mask Ogerpons because that's exactly what he does here. He bosses one of the Teal Mask Ogerpons, and from this point on, I decide I can't play any more Teal Mask Ogerpons, so I have to be able to win this game with just the one that's on the bench. So that's what we end up doing here. I think I did have access to get another Teal Mask Ogerpon, but I had everything in hand to be able to accelerate energies to take out this first Archelodon. And I play a Pal Pad just in case I get Iono'd on the next turn. Want to have access to some more energy acceleration, so bring back 2 Sada's Vitality, and we just continue to draw here, which that might have been a misplay as well. I probably should have Pal Padded after Greninja. You definitely don't want to draw back into the Sadas, which thankfully here I don't, but that was definitely a misplay. And then here I go through with the attack and discard 5 energies to take the knockout on the active Archelodon. He's about to have another one ready to go here because he promoted right away, and there it is. Go ahead and promote the evolve into the Archelodon, have all the energies, and there it is. We Iono, and let's see if I can draw into a Sada. I believe I do, if I remember correctly. So 1, 2, 3. I couldn't quite see the cards. But let's see what I do here on this next turn. He just attacked me for the 220 on the active Raging Bolt. So right here, I definitely want to set up another Raging Bolt. And he shows his deck there, or his hand, pretty much showing that he doesn't have anything for the following turn. He did have a few supporters, so another Iono I knew was coming after seeing that. But here we bring out another Raging Bolt. And what do I do here? I think I just attacked, so I just Earthen Vesseled for the energy needed to take this knockout, and we knocked out, and I'm like, just need one more prize, so should be pretty straightforward from here on out. Even if he does take a knockout, I should be good, and he did Iono me into the Professor Sada's Vitality, so I should be able to find an energy here to attach to the active. But let's see what happens because I don't quite remember. He nest balls for the Relicanth. Oh, actually, I do remember. The next card that I top deck is an energy switch. So literally didn't need anything else. I can just play Professor Sada's and energy switch, and that is game because the active Duraludon only has 130 HP, and we are doing 140 right here. So that is game.